And 27 points are the difference between the drivers fighting for the championship race. Kendall Kerr at the moment is looking from the outside in as he is 27 points away from the championship lead, held by the 97 of Scott Wheeler. We only have 2 races left to decide our champion here in the Highline Racing League HighPoint Premier Series. This is the ProtectTheHarvest.com 140 at Iowa Speedway. And we are gearing up for an incredible night of action. 140 miles of racing here in Iowa, and that will come out to 140 laps. This is a very not necessarily short track, but compared to some of the tracks we've gone to as of recent, including Atlanta last week, this is definitely one of the shorter tracks. And how about that? The top 2 guys on the racing surface are the top 2 drivers on, of course, our championship standings. Kendall Kerr top in practice, second in the championship points, and Scott Wheeler second in practice, looking to get his championship wrapped up here tonight. The first with the next gens, and these guys have been wheeling these cars, and it's been an absolute amazing show put on week after week. Scott Wheeler leading the pack in the championship standings for almost every single one of these weeks. And Terry Brooks in third right now, looking for win number 1 on the season, with Chad Winstead in 5th as Matthew Rodriguez, not on the track, is in 4th. Alan Koopman, position number 7 in the 8 machine. Roberto Ramirez is in 8th. And James McKee, following his victory in Atlanta, is now 27 points out of the championship lead as well. Tied with Kendall Kerr, his teammate, and also within striking distance of the championship leader in Caleb Morrissey, in the case that something goes wrong for the driver of the 97. We'll find out whether or not that is the case tonight with 5 minutes remaining here in practice. Adam Bozzi, currently in position number 6. And Terry Brooks, how about that 23 machine? John Herschel coming in the chat saying that Terry Brooks is going to break these boys off tonight, and he is looking to do so in style. Brooks is looking for that first victory, and he's turned it up in the last 3 races. Absolutely. Top 5, perhaps podium speed, time after time. And Brooks has the pace to get it done. We'll see whether or not he's able to execute. He's still got a lot of time in this one to go, and a lot of room for error, a lot of room for improvement. We'll see how he uses all of the time here as we are just getting started tonight. And of course, a lot of these laps have already been set. 48 laps for Terry Brooks, Scott Zellner already through 57. Alan Koopman through 26. Most on the track appears to be Adam Bozzi with 68. And Bozzi, the number 27 machine for Bearcat Motorsports, doing a great job here tonight, as he is currently 9th on the charts as Garrett Sidnor puts it up into position number 4. Terry Brooks only 1,000th of a second ahead of him. Casey Heschel 2,000ths behind Brooks. And Garrett Sidnor dead even with Casey Heschel now. It's a fight for third on the practice charts, and they're only separated by 3 1,000ths of a second. 3 drivers, as a matter of fact, and that's a very impressive group. How about it? Now Terry Brooks is separated within 1,000th of Scott Wheeler. 4 drivers separated by 3 1,000ths of a second here in practice. And if that doesn't show you how close these guys are on pace, I don't know what else will. Scott Zellner now 1,000th of a second behind Matthew Rodriguez. Kendall Kerr has the lead at 24 thousandths over the remainder of the field here. That was Wheeler. The remainder of the field fighting with one another for that second spot. Kendall Kerr seems to be out on a Sunday driver, the fastest of the drivers thus far. And he's still got a little more pace in the tank. Well, he might as well. 2 minutes and 58 seconds, and the sun is setting here. As the night will become more of a prominent feature and the sun will be gone, grip levels are going to be much higher. The drivers will be able to push their tires just a bit more, lap after lap. At the end of the day, older tires might just be the fastest all race long. We saw that at Charlotte, our longest race of the season. 210-mile event, and it came down to older tires ending up being the fastest. Scott Wheeler put on an incredible race. His strategy was sublime, and he was able to use those old tires with the night sky getting faster and faster as the temperature cooled off. And that 97 machine turned out to be the fastest in spite of the fact that he was running on a very old set, 70 lap old. By the time he came down on pit road, Casey Heschel, right now 4th on the charts. Garrett Sidnor is in 5th, and Adam Bozzi is in 6th. Scott Zellner in position number 8, right behind Matthew Rodriguez by only 1,000th of a second. Top 10 drivers are separated by 1/10 of a second, and Roberto Ramirez is now within that ballpark. He's exactly 1/10 out of your race leader in this practice session. Who could be your race leader. And that shows how close all these guys are, and the entire field separated by only half a second. How about it? And with Kendall Kerr in first, Scott Wheeler in second, it's going to take a lot here to see if these top two guys can be usurped tonight, because they're going for all the marbles and every point they can get. And Wheeler in that 9-7 machine knows he cannot slip up tonight, because every point matters. And although he has a sizable margin going into the night, 13 points chipped off every race, and it will only come down to 1 point to decide the championship winner. And he knows he doesn't want to come down to that. Kendall Kerr still leads the way here, 56 seconds to go. Heschel back out on track, Garrett Sidnor as well. And Matthew Rodriguez in 7th with the Bowie on number 57 machine. And Kroger always advertising new products with this number 57. Always a fresh coat of paint here. And Rodriguez looking to get one done tonight. Looking for his first win of the season as well. Rookie stripe for the 57. And putting on a great rookie season, keeping it up front. Especially toward the tail end of the season where a lot of guys are coming into their own. The next gen has proved to be a new challenge for every one of them. But few have adapted better than those who came into the league for the first time. And Rodriguez is one of them. But as it stands, the oldest of the field, the veterans here who have been here since the very beginning, are dominating the charts. And Kendall Kerr is the fastest driver in practice. And we will be moving on to qualifying to see who can get through for the coveted pole position. And with 2 races left, it means that much more to get the bonus point that you get out of being position number 1 here in qualifying. And every driver despawned the sun further out of the... And now it's time to see who's got what it takes to put it on pole. As Kenny Brooks appears to be the first driver out. Adam Bozzi there as well. Matthew Rodriguez on his way. Austin Bloom. Terry Brooks. Adam Bozzi. And it looks like as it stands, Kenny Brooks is the furthest out on the track. And the 54 machine getting out into qualifying earlier than anyone else will lead us to the time segment of qualifying. 5 minutes with 23 drivers to set a lap. Jacob Halm on his way as well. Chad Winstead out on pit road first time. Kenny Brooks going through the back straightaway. Terry Brooks in a similar situation as he's going to come into the back straightaway this time by Adam Bozzi, coming to the start-finish line. And that time by Kenny Brooks, 23.9. Adam Bozzi, 23.7. And Bozzi leads. Austin Bloom is in third in a 3 machine. And Kenny Brooks in second. As Matthew Rodriguez puts us up to position number 2. And Scott Wheeler is top of the charts now. Brad Crescent fourth. Not bad there for the 29 machine. And he's got a lot of time to keep that one rolling. One more lap here. Petit in 5th, and the Menards number 31. Scott Zellner, he's going to put it up to 4th as he gets usurped. Ozzy up to 3rd, Kendall Kerr to 2nd. And Kendall Kerr, he's still got one more lap to do it. And down to the inside line, he's going to be rolling all the way back up. Will he be able to get this one done? No, he does not. And he is going to have his second lap erased. Best he can do is second. Scott Wheeler looks to have pole position for now. James McKee gets it up to 4th. Not bad. A lot of improvement there from practice. Adam Bozzi goes down into pit road, and Alan Goodman is making his way onto pit road as well. James McKee in the SB Designs number 9 machine, winning last week. Top 4 in qualifying thus far. Let's see whether or not someone can take him out of the top 5. Brandon Wenchard in the striking number 24 Red Bull machine. Looks to be done and done with his qualifying run. Jason Harris on his way as well in the Brandt number 7. Taylor Morrissey going to put it up to 14th on his first lap. And he's only 3/10 out of the pole position. Anything can happen here. And we'll see whether or not he has what it takes to improve this time. 5. And coming around, the channel lock number 6 machine is going to be able to put it up, this time all the way up to 14th. Best he's going to have as Jason Harris going to come across the stripe this time by. And it will be for the number 7 machine. It looks like position number 18 out of 19-time drivers. And SSBB Nightwing coming into the chat showing support for Caleb Morrissey. And so far, up there, top 14 looks to be about middle of the road in qualifying thus far. But Caleb Morrissey, his last few performances, he's been turning it up to 11. Jason Harris gets it in the wall. And as we say about Morrissey, his first podium of the season coming 2 races ago. He was running very strong. Of course, at Plate Track Atlanta is now a different challenge. As Jason Harris in the Brant 7 looked to have branded that car with a scrape on its right side, and Jason Harris will be done in 18th position, the best he's going to be able to get. Brendan Wenchard still on pit road here, although it looks like he's not going to come out on the racetrack once again. And he will wait with 1 minute remaining here in qualifying before we get to the show. And it looks like your top 2 drivers in the championship standings will be in the top 2 positions on your grid. And the driver who is tied for second will be on the second row. So your 3 main championship protagonists, they'll all be lining up near one another. 38 seconds remaining. Brandon Wenchard not going to be able to get back on the track. Jason Harris is still practicing. And Harris, his team leads the owner's standings. Blacktop Racing, it's a 19-point deficit any other team has to that 4-car organization. And for Blacktop, getting the championship in the owners seems to be a bit harder than the drivers due to how many 4-car teams we have now. And it will be a challenge both of the drivers and the owners to lock up the title tonight. But anything's possible here at Iowa. And we've seen some great drives out of these boys before. We're bound to see one again. Qualifying is over, and your pole sitter will be Scott Wheeler once again. And let's see whether or not he can control the pace of this race and lead these 23 drivers to his own victory and get it done and perhaps lock up the championship here with 1 week remaining following this one. And December 29th will be the day where it all comes to close. And we'll find out whether or not these guys have it in store. Championship race next week. But now it's all about executing here in Iowa. And let's bring you your starting grid. Of course, led by the 97 machine of Scott Wheeler. He'll be on your screen momentarily. And there he is. And here it is, your starting grid. Led off by the 97 of Scott Wheeler, and then Kendall Kerr in second with a 23.714. Next up, Adam Bozzi with James McKee in the 4th spot, 23.718 and a 23.721, a 3/1000th of a second deficit between the 2 drivers. Terry Brooks rounds out the top 5 with Alan Kuhlman in 6th, and they're close as well, 0.04 of a second. And then Scott Selner and Casey Heschel are 7th and 8th. Mackie Rodriguez and Chad Winstead round out the top 10 with Brad Crescent 11th, Brandon Wenchard in 12th, then Dylan Petit, Caleb Morrissey, Kenny Brooks, Colton Gardner, and following them, Roberto Ramirez, Jason Harris, Austin Bloom, the final driver to qualify on time, leaving Garrett Sidnor, Andrew Baker, Dalton Beer, and Jacob Halm to qualify on iRacing. And that is your 23-car field heading into tonight. 140 laps of action here in Iowa. And we've seen some great races in Iowa in this, of course, FTN Live era. And we've seen a lot of leads go here. And certainly a new challenge here as the Next Gens take on Iowa. For the first time, these drivers having some experience with the Next Gens here. And they've gone to multiple 1-mile tracks this season. But the third might be the most important. There's only so much time for these guys to get it done. 140 laps here goes by in a flash. And 1 lap to go before we get to the green flag action. Scott Wheeler looking to cap off an incredible season. And Kendall Kerr looking to tell him the cap must not be off yet. There's still a race to go here for the championship. And with James McKee coming to spoil the party late. He's got the same deficit as Kendall Kerr. Could come down to the 9 machine if disaster strikes for Kendall Kerr and Scott Wheeler. Time will tell. And 140 laps here could change the dynamic of this championship entirely and flip them on their head. We'll see whether or not that happens. The odds, while slim, could happen. Scott Wheeler, almost perfect all season long. He might be able to keep that incredible run of skill, luck, and of course the talent that he has going one last time and perhaps knock off the championship here. But Kendall Kerr and James McKee would like to say otherwise, and they are in their right to do so. 27 points, 2 races. That can still be overcome. We've seen crazier things here on iRacing. Wheeler is going to try to wheel one home here tonight. The iRacing pace car going to dive in for the first time, and the ProtectTheHarvest.com 140 is green for the first time. Let's go racing. Dead even stop between your top 2 drivers, and Wheeler's going to lead him off. Down to the inside line, Wheeler goes, and Kendall Kerr going to go deep sea diving on the high side. And the 21 of Kendall Kerr is there. A little bit of shuffling in the mid-pack, but the top 2 drivers stay in the mix. And the Lucas Oil 21 side by side with the quick lane 97 and coming up the high side. Who's going to lead lap 1? It looks like at the stripe, Kendall Kerr is going to get the bonus point. And Wheeler's going to back off as a result. James McKee up to 3rd. Your top 3 drivers in the points already up to the top 3 in the standings here. And even though it is the final race, you got to treat it like it is for a driver like the 9 machine or the 21. Both of them are teammates, and they're fighting Scott Wheeler with this championship hunt tooth and nail. And Alan Kumman, who's an outside shot here, is still fighting as well. Casey Heschel going to get to his inside there, and they will go side by side. And the Charlotte Hornets being represented by the 49 machine. And the Hornets coming back to Charlotte within the last decade. Very interesting history that team has had, owned by Michael Jordan. And a short period in New Orleans did not pay off for the Hornets' name back in Charlotte after a brief stint as the Charlotte Bobcats, and looking to have more success as they are back to their roots. And Casey Heschel looking to prove that he can have a successful run, perhaps a bit more successful than the Charlotte Hornets are in the NBA, as he's looking to get into the top 5 or even deeper in the top 5, as he's now made it up to 5th, coming in 4th. James McKee in 3rd. Scott Wheeler in 2nd, and Kendall Kerr in 4th, up to 1st. As a matter of fact, 4th not the case. As 5 laps in, the 21 leads the way. Chad Winstead, back of the pack here in 9th. Terry Brooks in 8th. Scott Zellner in 7th. And Adam Bozzi in 6th. As Casey Heschel looking good right here in 5th. Alan Kumman 4th with his teammate right in front of him. Scott Wheeler, the points leader, just behind Kendall Kerr. And keeping a very, very good distance to your race leader. 6 laps in out of 140. Colton Gardner side by side with Garrett Sidnor. Sidnor not having a lot of luck here. Jason Harris behind the both of them. We'll see whether or not there's some action here. As the number 7 machine gets to all the way to the inside, Gardner's going to be able to race it off on the high line. And Sidnor not having an easy time passing. As Colton now looks to be almost cleared by the driver of the 50. The timing and scoring having a little bit of an error there, as Kenny Brooks can now go side by side with Dylan Petit on the inside line. And Petit in the Menards number 31 machine, running in the 13th position now, with a peak antifreeze on the hood. Menards, especially essential to racing. The Menard family has produced some great talent with teams and drivers, as it looks at Dylan Petit getting into the wall there as he continues to chase down Matthew Rodriguez. As Rodriguez chases down Brad Kress. Brendan Wenjard up to 10th, and it looks like qualifying did not deter him at all. He's able to run up at the front of the pack, even though only able to get 1 timed lap in qualifying. 9 laps in. You can see all the action on the racetrack distracting us from the fact that every lap is passing by oh so quickly. Last time by for the race leader was a 24.3, and especially fast lap time for Kendall Kerr, as the tires are continuing to wear, but the track is continuing to get cooler and cooler. 10 laps in, out of 140, Kerr's your race leader, and Scott Wheeler losing more and more time here. James McKee in third. Alan Goodman in fourth, and Adam Bozzi are right there in fifth, looking to put the pressure on Alan Goodman when he gets the chance. Caution flag is out. That's going to be the first of the night. Let's find out what happened. And it looks like it could have involved Colton Gardner and Andrew Baker. And that it did. Baker definitely involved. Let's find out what happened. And it looks like Baker going down onto the inside line there. Chopper camera going to put into effect here. 11 laps in, first caution. Andrew Baker definitely involved. Let's find out what happened in specific. And Baker goes in. The first turn, gets it a little squirrely, and loses it as a result. Comes up the track and blinks out for a moment. Although it's evident that he came up the track and got into the outside retaining wall there. As the remainder of the field goes by, Baker comes back with some front-end damage, and the 43 machine smashed up with the Smash sponsorship, and that's not going to be good. We'll see whether or not he's going to come into pit road, and that he is, as James McKee and the remainder of the leaders stay out. Kendall Kerr, your race leader nonetheless, 12 laps in out of 140. And a lot of time for this race to be settled. The 21 machine, looking for every point possible, has led every lap so far, and not only has the led lap bonus, but has the led most laps bonus thus far. Although, of course, any driver can come up and lead 12 laps. We've only gotten through 12. It'll be much easier for another driver to do that on a green flag run, as we still have more than 100 laps remaining, even if 12 have been scratched off the table. The 21 on the inside line here. It looks like we're going to be heading to a double file procedure, this time by outside line. Scott Wheeler would choose. James McKee looks to be staying high with him. And Alan Goodman looks to be able to pull up to the inside line. If these are the formations, that will be finalized next lap by 13 laps out of 140. Kendall Kerr, looking for every advantage, leads over Scott Wheeler. James McKee in third, Alan Goodman in fourth, Adam Bozzi in fifth, Casey Heschel is in sixth, Scott Zellner in seventh, Terry Brooks in eighth, and Chad Winstead in ninth, with Brad Kress in position number 10, Matthew Rodriguez in 11th, and the remainder of the field goes as follows. The 24 of Wenger, the Petit, Bloom, Kenny Brooks, Garrett Sidnor, the 50, Jason Harris, Caleb Morrissey, Roberto Ramirez, Dalton Beard, Colton Gardner, and Andrew Baker, as Gardner now is behind the 43 of Baker. James McKee in third watches as his teammate leads the way, and his other championship rival in Wheeler is right in front of him, and everything's going to get reset this time by, and it looks like now it's going to be Kendall Kerr all the way up to the high side, and Scott Wheeler down to the bottom. James McKee in third, and Goodman in fourth. The 97 now has that inside line. Let's see whether or not it works to his advantage. And starting in the same way that he did as the race truly began, our first restart of the night, we'll see the 97 back on the inside line and see the 21 back on the outside, 14 laps in. Adam Bozzi in third, and he is in a good position as well to rack off a victory. James McKee not done yet, still hunting down and hoping to get a back-to-back W. He's in a good position to do so. Up here in fourth, same spot he was when this race began. The iRacing pace car has already dived in once again, and we are going to go green for the first time. First restart of the night here in Iowa. Scott Wheeler gonna get punted there. James McKee, will he save it? Yes, he will. Only for a moment, the big one at Iowa. And this is bad news for his championship hunt. 9 Machine's able to roll off, but certainly not going to roll off without damage. And he can't be happy. This could be it. Chasing down that championship for James McKee. Instant replay. Let's find out what happened. And setting it back 40 seconds, let's watch the replay together. As you can see, the 21 machine of Kendall Kerr there gets a great start, so he's not going to be involved at all. Adam Bozzi gets in. Scott Wheeler then net codes the driver, the 9. Then hits Heschel. Terry Brooks almost involved in that one. Chad Winstead involved, and Winstead's been making a really good run on the points. And it looks like the worst of it goes to the driver of the 9. It looks like the remainder of the field able to get cleanly through for the most part. Dylan Petit, Austin Bloom. As we check through, it looks like Jason McKee going to get the absolute worst. Chad Winstead absolutely damaged as well. But McKee now going to be heading down on pit road, as it looks like Scott Wheeler, Alan Koopman, Kendall Kerr, a few of these leaders still not going. Although we do have a multitude of the guys going as is. Chad Winstead going to be one of them, getting some damage repair, getting tires. Jason McKee in a similar predicament. Going to come down to his stall. And stall number 4 occupied for the 9 machine. As you can see, not a lot of damage. Although certainly, he's going to feel it. And every single amount of damage that he can get, no fast repairs available, will be beneficial to his championship cause, trying to get back out front. As Kendall Kerr leads over Scott Wheeler, Allen coming in 3rd, Adam Bozzi in 4th, Scott Zellner is in 5th. And Matthew Rodriguez is in position number 6. And a lot of time to go here. 2 cautions, 17 laps in, and that time by, unfortunately, not able to make it past the first turn. A major incident. And James McKee, a championship rival, fighting as hard as ever. And it looks like McKee going to go around that time by. The race far from over. He can still get back out front if he plays the strategy game just right. 18 out of 140. We've still got a lot of time to go in the ProtectTheHarvest.com 140 here in the virtual Iowa Speedway. Kendall Kerr, your race leader. Next time by, we're going to be heading in double file, so unfortunately not a lot of time to get interviews. And we're going to run through the field and see a few drivers who have made some moves. Adam Bozzi absolutely making moves. But that time by, that's a move he certainly did not want to make. That's going to affect the championship hunt severely. If, of course, that's terminal damage to James McKee. It does not look to be. McKee is on his way, almost a lap down. The lap down he is not. He's going to come down on pit road once again, as everyone's declaring the line they'll be on. Kendall Kerr to the high side. Scott Wheeler once again to the low. And Alan Koopman in 3rd goes up to the high side as well. It looks like now James McKee will be placed almost a lap down. He's just barely able to beat out the pace car. And what a move there. McKee able to play it just right. And the 9 machine is out of pit road. It's about a second to spare on the pace car. And Scott Wheeler, his teammate, is not Scott Wheeler, of course, but Kendall Kerr, his teammate, out front alongside Scott Wheeler. Alan Koopman in 3rd, Scott Zellner in 4th, Adam Bozzi in 5th, Matthew Rodriguez is in position number 6, and Dylan Petit is in 7th. Austin Bloom in 8th, Brandon Wenger in 9th, and Berger Ramirez is in position number 10, alongside Kenny Brooks, the 11th spot, Casey Heschel in 12th. Garrett Sidnor is in 13th, with Jason Harris in 14th. Caleb Morrissey in 15th. We are green once again, led by Kendall Kerr with a big push from Alan Koopman. Second restart of the night. And that time by, Koopman gets to the inside line. We're going to let Kendall Kerr go. And a bit of a break given between teammates there. That's Bozzi now going to fight side by side with Scott Wheeler. Wheeler losing positions. And it looks like now Adam Bozzi has the pace to contend for a podium placement, as Bozzi almost clear of the 97 that time by. And clear he is not. At the 27 now side by side with Alan Koopman. But Wheeler going to give him as much as he's got. Although it does not look like it's going to happen that time by. Now he's down to 4th. Getting a little bit T. 31 machine up to the high side. And he's not going to be able to make a pass this time by, but the momentum is definitely flowing. Dylan up to the top 5. And Brandon Wenger is going to go on the high side around Scott Zellner. And he'll try to use that diamond to make his move up to the high side, almost up to the wall there. And Zellner down to the inside line once again. The 2 machine, the 24 machine, double file. And they have been that way for about 2 laps. Matthew Rodriguez in the wall. And while it is contact, no incidents, we stay green. Adam Bozzi, side by side with Alan Goodman here. And they are fighting for the life of them. Wheeler down to fourth now. And Scott Wheeler still not able to lead a lap in this event. He's losing bonus points that could be crucial to his championship hunt. Kendall Kerr just has to lead the first 71 to lock up the most laps led bonus. And from there, he can play the race out on a strategy that is not involving leading the entire thing. But I think at this point, Kendall Kerr just wants to lead the whole thing. It'd be a safer bet. Adam Bozzi in second. Alan coming there on the inside line. Goes down, diving again. As Kendall Kerr still tries to fight once more. Gabe Morrissey goes side by side with the driver of the 10 machine and Chad Winstead. And Morrissey's going to lose the spot that time by. That's for 15th. James McKee slowly but surely getting into the mix here. He's side by side with Brad Crest almost. Quarter panels right there. And it's not going to happen that time by, but McKee certainly with the pack here, although damage might just be the reason he can't get by anyone here, as it is showing the pace not too much better than the guys in the back of the pack. We'll see whether or not it affects them during their long run. 26 laps in, Garrett Sidnor gets by Casey Eschel. And Eschel falls down to 12. Matthew Rodriguez still in front of Austin Bloom, but Bloom is chasing him. And that time by, you can see that Scott Zellner now chasing down the top 5 placements. Wheeler in fourth, getting some pressure from Dylan Petit. And Adam Bozzi now not in front or not even beside Alan Goodman, as Bozzi's going to lose a handful of places. If he keeps the pace he has going, he's now going to be side by side with Scott Wheeler. Kendall Kerr, though, up to the high side, 21 machine. And he is still leading 28 laps through. He's got a 7/10 of a second advantage over Alan Goodman. How about that? The 28 lap through mark. We've hit it. And Roberto Ramirez going through the remainder of the pack, slowly but surely chasing Austin Bloom. Three-car bubble here. Heschel down to the inside line of Brandon Wencher. And double file the 49, the 24R. And Wencher looks to have some pace here tonight. Qualifying not his strongest, but he's got the race pace to back it up. And the Red Bull number 24, watching as the sun will set. And shadows, you can see him bouncing off of the wall back and forth here at Iowa. The track's going to get much grippier, much faster, as Scott Zellner looks to be side by side with Adam Bozzi here. And every car has a reflective glow as they go through the front and back straightaways. It's very noticeable there. And it is a very hard-fought battle between every one of these drivers. 27 putting some pressure on the two. As Zellner has gotten the closest he's been all race long to Dylan Petit in fourth. Scott Wheeler making his way back up into third. That's going to cut the deficit of points he's losing just a bit. And of course, he wants to be back up in that lead conversation, as Alan Goodman now half a second away from his teammate and Kendall Kerr for that race lead. But Kerr still leading 31 laps through. And a lot of time to settle it. Kendall Kerr making sure that he's got the most of it, as nobody's been on his level so far. 7/10 of a second he has an advantage over Cummins down the front straightaway. Through the braking zones, though, Cummins seems to be that much faster. And Scott Wheeler following in his footsteps. Roberto Ramirez looks to have just gotten by Austin Bloom. And now on to Matthew Rodriguez. Let's see how Rodriguez holds up as Ramirez goes down to the inside line. And the 42 gets right by the 57, and that time by coming up on the exit. Rodriguez has the momentum, but Roberto Ramirez has the placement. And it's going to work to his advantage down on the inside line here as they enter the first turn. And the 42 gets him that time by. Adam Bozzi right in front of Roberto. And Bozzi, Petit, and Roberto Ramirez all in a fight here for fifth, as Scott Zellner is up to fourth. And a great run here for Zellner, looking to get win number 11 on the total. And actually added one to that one. Breaking through would be the way to go for Scott Zellner, as he's the only driver to have double-digit victories in this series. And he puts on a great show every time he comes driving. Although the next gens have been quite a bit of a struggle, as Roberto Ramirez is now going to go side by side for fifth. And this time by, Ramirez has the pace 35 laps through. It's the 42 over the 31 for position number 5. Top 5 shuffling once again. And now the JBL number 42 is the final driver within it. And how about it? Down to the inside line. The 42 goes. Scott Zellner there. Scott Wheeler as well. And Alan Kuhlman in the second spot. Kendall Kerr in first. Garrett Sidnor side by side with Austin Bloom here. And everyone is rolling quite well. Kendall Kerr still leads, however, 36 laps out of 140. Alan Kuhlman in second, and he's getting close. Now they're going to be able to go side by side, and Kuhlman watches as his teammate might just be losing some pace here, and the 3 drivers in the top 3 are now separated by 0.3 of a second. Kendall Kerr had a big slip up, and now he's going to have to pay the consequences of it. And he has a price to pay for certain. Kuhlman now down to the inside line. And Alan Kuhlman absolutely has the pace here. Using the front straightaway with all the draft he has to continue diving into that first turn. And the cycle continues lap after lap, 38 laps in. And at this pace, it's only a matter of time before we perhaps see a shuffle up of the lead. As Kuhlman almost gets into the wall there and shucks right out of it. It takes a lot to move out of the wall when you know you're absolutely headed toward it. And the driver, that 8 machine, an experienced driver here on iRacing, and pushes himself to a situation he didn't want to be in, able to keep it out of the wall. And now Scott Wheeler trying to go around for second place. Let's see whether or not he's able to do so. Side by side, and Roberto Ramirez and Scott Zellner are both clawing into the battle for the lead. Ramirez just looks to be the fastest driver on the racetrack right now by about 0.2 of a second over Kendall Kerr. And you can just see he seems to have the pace around the entirety of the track. And side by side, the 2 drivers in front of him are. But Kerr is pushing. And now he's got a 0.7 of a second advantage again, as these 2 are distracting each other going side by side action. Once again, Roberto Ramirez, just the fastest man on the track. And he's going to be able to take it 3 wide that time by. Will he be able to take both positions from 4th to 3rd to 2nd? He does. And Ramirez goes 3 wide for 2nd and gets them all. Now it's the 42's ball game to perhaps chase down your race leader in Kendall Kerr. And 100 laps to go. The first 40 are underway. And now they are put into the books. Kendall Kerr is going to bring us now to 99 laps remaining. And the 21 machine needs this victory more than ever, and he's showing it. He's putting on the performance of a lifetime thus far, leading every lap of this race. As Scott Zellner gets by for 3rd, and Alan Kuhlman in 4th, Scott Wheeler in 5th, and now everyone shuffles up as Alan Kuhlman's going to fall back yet another set of positions, and that puts him in 5th as Wheeler gets 4th. And Bozzi now fights on the inside line to make Kuhlman your 6th place runner thus far. Kendall Kerr, high side, and he's going to keep it there. Now he's a 0.3 of a second advantage. It just seems clear to everyone. Ramirez has it dialed in tonight. He's on what looked to be a 10-lap younger set. Yellow flag is out. Chad Winstead involved. Let's find out what happened. An instant replay on the matter. We're going to try to find out what caused this one, because certainly it involved Chad Winstead, although we're not sure how. His pace definitely impacted. And we are going to see whether or not Chad Winstead put up a signal on the radar here. He blinks out. And we'll see how these drivers react. Andrew Baker looks to be the only reason to believe that someone wrecked around here. We're going to watch him. It looks like, yes, Chad Winstead did go around, although for some reason not caught by the iRacing replay. And Winstead now down to 19th. The damage not helping him at all. And Winstead coming down on pit road this time by. Scott Zellner going to lead the field off. The exception, of course, the 2 drivers ahead of him, Kendall Kerr and Roberto Ramirez. Entry already empty. How about we watch the race off the pit exit? It's your pole sitter coming in this time by. Let's watch and see who gets out of this one first. And I'm thinking at this point, 96 laps to go, everyone's going to top off on fuel, get 4 tires, a set of Goodyear rubber to go the distance if needed. And coming out of pit road, Kendall Kerr beats Scott Zellner, Roberto Ramirez. Then it's going to be Wheeler, Bozzi, Heschel, Bloom, Sidnor, Goodman, Petit, Jason Harris, Caleb Morrissey. And then it's going to be the driver of, appears to be, Dalton Beer, then James McKee, Brandon Wenjard. And the final driver of this pit road run looks to be Kenny Brooks, Terry Brooks right there as well. Side by side, the Brooks duo goes. Service and Supply Incorporated, represented by both of them, the brothers. As far as we are aware, of course. And those two doing a great job thus far. But it looks like strategy going to set them to the back of the pack for now. 95 laps to go. Kendall Kerr leads. Scott Zellner is in second. And while we have time, we're going to take a short break to promote one of our associates. And we love the support from all of the people that we get to work with on a week-by-week basis, and we hope you appreciate their support as well. Thank you for stopping by thus far. 95 laps to go here in Iowa. You won't miss a beat. We're going Fireball Talks nonstop. You'll still see the drivers. You'll still see the tracks, and we'll be back before the green flag action returns to your screens. Thank you all for watching. Let's go Fireball Talks nonstop.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
And a brief intermission brought to you by Throttle Graphics and Designs. Let's get back to the action here. 94 laps to go. And we still have a few messages to present, but so early in the race, we're not going to miss a beat. And we are not going to miss the choose rule being put back into effect for this race's third restart, led by Kendall Kerr. He's led every single one of them thus far, 47 laps in out of 140. And 94 laps to go. Kendall Kerr looking to wrap up the most laps led very, very early here. And he seems to have the speed to do just that. We'll find out whether or not he'll execute on that matter. 48 laps in with the fastest driver in this race on the long run. Right behind him, that's Roberto Ramirez. He was 0.2 of a second faster every lap. And it was evident. Time after time, he was pushing. Nonetheless, he's going to have to do that all over again in the short run. It's going to be clutch here. We'll see whether or not he has the pace during the short run to keep up. Because he certainly had it on that last run we saw in the long run, but he had an advantage of tires by 12 laps. We'll see whether or not on an even playing field he'll be able to hold on just right. If Scott Zellner can perhaps play the spoiler here, as it's the 21 and the 2 side by side veterans of this league. And let's see what they have in store for one another. The iRacing pace car already off of the track, and we are going once again to the green flag, led by Kendall Kerr with a great restart. And Zellner just gonna have to pick up the spoils of that one. He's in second. 92 laps to go. And Kendall Kerr, no contest on that start. 49 laps in at 140. And Zellner goes down to the inside line trying to make something happen. Does not have anything just yet. Adam Bozzi with a monster run on the outside line. Not able to hold on though. 3 wide for third. Scott Wheeler in the middle of it. Looks like he's going to fall back 2 spots. Kendall Kerr still leads into lap 50 at a 140. The first 100, we're halfway through it. And 91 laps to go. As Kendall Kerr leads by only 1/10 of a second here. Adam Bozzi has a major run once again, cooked up on the high side. And Bozzi's going to go to the lead on the inside line. New race leader for the first time all race. It's Adam Bozzi. And Bozzi has some pace out of nowhere. The same stint of tires. And Kerr's going to have to find the high side. now it will be the driver of the 27 machine leading the way for the first time tonight. New race leader, and put it in the books. It's the 27 of Adam Bossi. Dylan Petit side by side with Roberto Ramirez and Matthew Rodriguez side by side with Garrett Sidler. Alan Kuhlman in the mist as well. The mid-pack, especially intense driving. James McKee up to 11th here, making more and more time up as the race goes on. And it looks like the damage has been more or less repaired for the driver of the 9 machine. Slowly but surely gaining into Ramirez, Rodriguez, and Petit. Scott Wheeler for a moment was fighting there with Adam Bossi. Scott Zellner, but now Kendall Kerr down to the inside line, and he is trying to take the race lead back once again. Let's see whether or not he's able to do it this time by down to the inside line. Bossi has to run the high side. He's not going to be able to hold on, and now Kendall Kerr back to the race lead. He'll get it there at the start-finish line. Now it's going to be up to Adam Bossi to go down to the inside line once again. That number 27 machine pushing as hard as ever. Kendall Kerr, though, in the lead again. Lap 54, 140. Lock up the bonus points he can get on the night. Keep the championship battle going deep into the season, all the way to the final lap of this season. That's his goal. And right now, leading every lap here that he can. It'll just help him out that much more, exponentially, as a matter of fact. Ozzy in second. Scott Zellner in third. Scott Wheeler in fourth. Casey Heschel right behind him, putting the pressure down for position number 5. Caleb Morrissey now in the 10th spot, getting by Roberto Ramirez. As James McKee is up in the top 10 once again. And he's getting in on Matthew Rodriguez and Dylan Petit at the same time here. 85 laps to go. And Alan Kuhlman now putting pressure on Scott Wheeler for 4th. Trying to knock Wheeler out of the top 5 over time. And more the championship picture becomes the focus here, as 27 points separate the top 2 drivers as it is. The position that Scott Wheeler is in is not enough to lock him into the bonus points that Kendall Kerr is aiming for. However, still will not be enough to make it a very easy hunt for Kendall Kerr next race. And it will be a hard-fought battle even if Kerr is able to max out the points and win this race. 84 laps will become 83 laps to go. And the 21 machine, in a hard-fought battle for the championship run, is in no battle for this race lead thus far. Adam Bossi half a second back, Scott Zellner holding on to third. And Alan Kuhlman getting up to the back bumper to Scott Wheeler. Matthew Rodriguez is in 7th, Dylan Petit in 6th, James McKee in 8th. Casey Heschel and Caleb Morrissey round out the top 10 here. As the back of the pack still seems to be majoritively single file. Terry Brooks there with Garrett Sidler down the inside line. The 50 machine is for only a moment, as Terry Brooks is going to go there as well. Roberto Ramirez in 15th at the moment, going to go down on the inside on Brad Kress, as Kenny Brooks goes on the inside with Brandon Wenjard on the high side, and Wenjard's going to get the better of him thus far. Now Jason Harris able to make a maneuver there on Casey Heschel. And Brandon Wenjard right up into the mix. Matthew Rodriguez at 6th. Alan Kuhlman now side by side with Wheeler back in 4th. Will he be able to make it happen this time by? Does not look like he will be able to do so. But putting the pressure down on your championship leader. And doing a great job of that. Double file action in the middle of the pack continues to go. And Heschel side by side with Wenjard. Brandon appears to have the momentum there on the inside line. Casey Heschel goes. And Kenny Brooks, 13th position right now, side by side with Brad Kress. It looks like we got one that went down to the inside of the racing surface. It was Roberto Ramirez, losing a lot of time here, but he's going to be able to save it. And Ramirez down into 18th. Kendall Kerr still leading this thing by a very large margin. Scott Wheeler still pressure there from the 8 machine of Alan Kuhlman. And Kuhlman trying to find any opportunity he has to move the 97 from his spot. Defending well on the inside line, and no bumper has been placed just yet. Trying to do it all cleanly. And that's much more of a challenge than it seems. It's easier said than done. It is evident in Alan Kuhlman's style here. pushing as hard as ever, but giving a lot of space here to Scott Wheeler in case he makes a mistake. And now different grooves are coming into the equation. As you can see, Wheeler taking a little bit of a lower ride there. It's Alan Kuhlman going to take the second groove indicated by the dotted white lines. And all about the momentum here. And trading off some entry, or rather exit speed, immediately for some momentum down the long run. Alan Kuhlman looks to make that decision. And we'll see whether or not it pays off. It certainly could. Although that we are not sure of just yet. The sun is setting though. And slowly but surely we will be heading into the night sky as the night goes on here in the virtual Iowa Speedway. Adam Bossie second. Scott Zellner in third. Scott Wheeler in fourth. Alan Kuhlman in position number 5. And James McKee is in 6th. The pressure from Wheeler, if he gives up the spot to Kuhlman, will become that much more as James McKee is teammates. Not only Kuhlman, but Kendall Kerr as well. It's all about making your moves at the right time. And James McKee, knowing that, has made his way from the back of the pack in 20th all the way up to 6th. And looking for more position as the night goes on, perhaps getting himself back up into the lead battle. 75 laps to go. He's got the time to do so. As long as he makes every move as good as he's been able to make them ever since this incident early on in this event. Recovery. The road to it. He's traveled most of it. We'll see whether or not he's able to finish it off. Kendall Kerr that time by. Second fastest driver on the racing surface. The only driver faster, Scott Wheeler. Stuck in traffic here. He's got Scott Zellner in front of him. Alan Kuhlman behind him, but Kuhlman losing a little bit of time here. James McKee looks to be pushing a lot harder than Kuhlman is now. The 9 machine getting right up to the 8. We could have another driver hunting down Wheeler. Will be from the same group, Blacktop Racing, sending one of their 4 drivers down to chase the 97. We'll see whether or not they're successful that time by, if it happens. 72 laps to go. Laps are winding down here. 69 laps in on 140. And a nice lead being built up by Kendall Kerr in the 21 machine. And in only a few laps time, he'll be able to lock down that most laps led bonus. He's been in control of this race all night long. Nobody seems to be faster. As Kerr comes down to the stripe once again, the cross flags will wave next time by. And halfway home already here in Iowa, as Alan Kuhlman goes side by side with James McKee. McKee now has the advantage and the momentum. And James McKee back up to the top 5. Now going to chase down Scott Wheeler as Caleb Morrissey goes side by side with Matthew Rodriguez. And Morrissey makes the pass work. That is for position number 7. James McKee in 5th. Scott Wheeler in 4th. Scott Zellner in 3rd. And Adam Bossie closing in on Kendall Kerr here. 70 laps to go. This could be the moment we see a shift in the dynamic. All of that we will wait and see. Casey Heschel gets by Caleb Morrissey now. And the number 6 machine demoted back to 8th. Zellner, Bossie, 2nd and 3rd. 97 machine is Scott Wheeler. Watches the both of them. With these two being side by side, it's going to distract them from the real cause here, getting that victory. While Zellner's had a lot of pace on the long run, Kendall Kerr seems to get lucky every time these guys fight side by side. He's already gained 2 tenths back ever since the battle began. And less than half of this race remaining now. It's all about managing every single piece of momentum, every single battle. And now Zellner chases down Kendall Kerr, looking to get another victory on the season. And a tumultuous year for Scott Zellner. Of course, over the hill, double digits in victories, the only driver in the Highline Racing League to ever do so. But otherwise, been an inconsistent year with a lot of incidents, some out of his control and some in his control. And at the end of the day, he has had speed, and the rocket chassis number 2 machine is a rocket tonight. Now he's gaining in on the 21 machine. 0.2 of a second faster. Last time by, Casey Heschel gets by Alan Kuhlman. But the story here is the inside of the line for Scott Zellner. He's going to have it. And Kendall Kerr is going to have to be forced up into 2nd here. Nice work for the driver, the 21 machine to hold off, as now Scott Wheeler is going to go for second, and this changes the dynamic of the championship hunt all over again. Wheeler has the edge over his championship rival. And now Kendall Kerr seems to be having a little bit of trouble. Comes up the track in fourth, loses third to Adam Bozzi. And Zellner is your race leader. And James McKee now going to try to make a move past Kendall Kerr. This could be the championship race. Done and done. The tires for Kendall Kerr appear to be fried. And how about that? Zellner, new race leader, with only 64 laps remaining. Scott Wheeler, second, as Kendall Kerr falls down into sixth. James McKee in fourth now, chasing down Adam Bozzi, and Scott Wheeler in front of him. And this is going to change the dynamic more than we expected. Caleb Morrissey now coming up on Alan Goodman, and him coming up on Casey Eschel and Kendall Kerr as well. Both of them look to be losing a lot of pace here. Last time by, Kendall Kerr was half a second slower than the race leader in Scott Zellner. And there is no sign of him getting any quicker as the night is going to continue to go on here. 63 to go. Scott Zellner is your race leader, with Scott Wheeler right behind him. And with only so much time remaining in this race, begs the question, what's going to happen to the drivers whose strategy are going out the wayside? Caleb Morrissey fights with Alan Cummin even still. And Morrissey going to use the high side to his advantage to try to get a run here on the 8 machine to Cummin. And up to the high side once again, the 6 machine of Alan Cummin goes for only a moment. He does. He goes against 6 machine and Morrissey side by side. And Cummin not able to make it happen that time by Kendall Kerr, the next man up. For Caleb Morrissey to fight for position. Morrissey looking to get himself into the top 5. He's getting closer and closer as the night goes on. And with a lot of time to do so. In the middle of the pack, it's a little time to do so in the championship hunt. Scott Zellner leading the way nonetheless. Scott Wheeler does not look to have the pace to claw him down just yet. 60 laps left. A lot of things could change. We could see tire strategy in the green flag pit stop way. Or we could see yet another yellow. And both of those would change up this race entirely. Whichever we get. Although it looks more and more likely this one will go down to the green flag run that we've been anticipating. At the beginning of this race, a few cautions to start it, but then we got a moderately long run. Although now this looks to be the longest run we have had, going past the halfway point. And as fewer and fewer laps be ticked down, every one of these drivers has to be on their A game if they want to keep the positions they have gotten. Tire saving. Of course, fuel saving and strategy, all the more important. With each passing lap, Roberto Ramirez now working his way back up into 10th. Slowly but surely, he's now in 11th. Chasing down Garrett Sidnor in position number 10. Matthew Rodriguez losing a lot of time here, coming down onto pit road. It looks like he already has his mind set. And the 57 will lead us into green flag pit stops. Brandon Wenger barely makes it, but he does make it. And how about that for the driver of the 24 machine making it through? And we got a lot of guys coming down to pit road, it appears. Things are getting shuffled up as Rodriguez and Wenger set the trend here. And positions are being traded back and forth by every driver. And Shelly Babinchak saying it's very good to see the number 2 out front again. And indeed it is Scott Zellner in old form tonight. 56 laps to go. And he's looking like an ace here. With only 2 races remaining, 2 chances to get a victory. He's looking for win number 2 on the year. And Zellner turning back the clock here. He's 55 laps to go. The rocket chassis machine, self-explanatory tonight, as he has still got a half-second advantage over Scott Wheeler as it stands. It'll be Toyota, Ford, then Casey Heschel in a Camaro, Three manufacturers, three different positions, and three different teams. With James McKee in fourth with the Blacktop Racing Camaro leading the charge for that organization now as Kendall Kerr is falling down to sixth. Jason Harris has risen up to seventh and slowly but surely gaining in on Caleb Morrissey. Entire strategy seems to be going in favor of the seven. Jason Harris able to push at the tail end of it as well. Morrissey looks to have pushed earlier on. And it's going to come back to bite him here. Only so much time before the checkered flag. Scott Zellner still leading by now almost a second. As Casey Heschel slowly but surely gaining in to get that second position. As now James McKee slowly but surely putting some pressure on to round out the podium. While Adam Bozzi chases him as well. A lot of drivers in the mix here. And a lot of time to settle it. Casey Heschel, Scott Wheeler, side by side, and now it looks like Casey Heschel going to get the better of Wheeler that time. And now, next man up, it's James McKee to chase down Scott Wheeler. 27 points entering this race. That's what separated those two. Now it's up to McKee to make that gap just a bit shorter. But Wheeler not leading any laps here tonight. Certainly puts him in even further of a disadvantage. As Kendall Kerr dominated this race up to this point. But coming up to almost lap 100, Kendall Kerr is far from sight. How about it? And go for number 11 of Scott. I don't believe we have a number 11 machine here tonight. As a matter of fact, we do not. With Scott Wheeler Jr., Scott Zellner, two Scotts here tonight. So Lane Coons, whichever you're rooting for, they're doing great. First and third. And the 97. The latter of the two Scotts in position. Getting chased down by championship rival James McKee. As the 9 chases down the 97. Adam Bozzi putting on less pressure as the night goes on. It looks like with 49 laps to go, Adam Bozzi slowly but surely laying off of James McKee. It could be tire wear coming in and perhaps causing a problem. Zellner now coming down onto pit road this time by, it appears. That he will do. Although it looks like, no, that is not the case. He slowed down so much. We thought he was coming down to pit road, but he is not. Scott Zellner from the lead just had a problem. We're going to try to find out what happened. 20 seconds and put an extra 20 on it. Brandon Wenger with new tires came down to the inside, let him go cleanly. And it looks like Wenger spun right in front of your leader and contact with a driver on new tires, and Zellner takes damage from Brandon Wenger getting his lap back. And now Zellner down into sixth. An unbelievable circumstance for Scott Zellner, your leader, involved in an incident with a driver who was just hardly on the lead lap. And that's going to change it all up for Zellner here as he now tries to chase down Kendall Kerr. Casey Heschel, your new race leader. Scott Wheeler in second. James McKee in third, chasing down Wheeler. And now Casey Heschel has a chance to pull home the victory. An unbelievable turn of events. And the night has gone on in excellent style here. 46 laps to go. This is the longest run we've had by far. And we are approaching lap 100. With James McKee all over championship rival Scott Wheeler as Garrett Sidnor coming off of pit road. It does not appear he is, but his pace absolutely slower that lap by. And no determining factor according to timing and scoring on why that's the case. As Caleb Morrissey comes down on pit road this time. And he is going to get in after a 50 lap stint. And here we go. Pit cycle, it is underway. And James McKee still fighting up front with Casey Heschel, Scott Wheeler as well. Side by side now. Wheeler losing the spot, and it looks like that he will. James McKee has made it all the way back up to position number 2. And James McKee looks to be fighting for the championship spots once again. He's up in front of your points leader, while James McKee's teammate, Alan Cummins, appears to be a retiree, and that will put an official end to Alan Cummins' championship hunt. And then there were three. As it stands, it looks like Wheeler, McKee, and Kendall Kerr are the only three men able to claw together any amount of points to get that championship, no matter how they do it. But Wheeler getting a lot of pressure from a lot of drivers, Adam Bozzi on him as well, while Matthew Rodriguez goes by the both of them. He'll have to elect to go to pit road sometime soon. We'll find out when. He's losing more and more time the more he stays on. Now, while we have seen Wheeler as a master of tire strategy tonight, that does not appear to be the case. Having a lot of trouble here as the 27 machine is. Adam Bozzi gets right by him. That's for fifth. And now it appears that Scott Zellner is going to be able to put the pressure down. Or is he? As Zellner comes down on pit road, it looks like he has some damage. That is for certain. But nonetheless, the tire whisperer, according to Josh Herschel, on pit road as well. And 7th and 8th, they both appear to be the two machine on 23. Terry Brooks comes down with Scott Zellner. And Casey Heschel going to extend his lead as he is still on the racing surface, getting passed by Dylan Petit. However, not for position. James McKee in second. Scott Wheeler falling down to fifth. And it appears Scott Wheeler coming down onto pit road now, electing to do so. And James McKee and Casey Heschel are the next two up. A majority of the field thus far has gone down. And drivers higher up in the standing have not chosen to done just that. And they have not done just that. 103 laps in, James McKee there as well. And there he goes. As Scott Wheeler going to need to put together the lap of a lifetime here, coming down on pit road. He already has. And he is getting his left sides on. And he is on his way. And let's see how much time he can make up this time. As Casey Heschel still not on pit road. We'll see whether he cycles out in front of or behind James McKee. That's going to be incredibly crucial. McKee still on pit road. Losing a lot of time here. Going to get by Dalton Beer. Scott Wheeler does. And McKee out on his way. And it looks like it pays off for James McKee in a big time way. And he's going to be far ahead of Scott Wheeler. And he's going to come out right behind Kendall Kerr and Terry Brooks. Casey Heschel, how about him? Gets passed by Caleb Morrissey there. And the top five drivers appear to have not gone down pit road or on alternate strategies. Dylan Petit looks to be in a position to get the race lead following the pit stops from Dalton Beer, Adam Bozzi, and Casey Heschel. 35 laps to go. And it looks like the lead will be given to the driver of the 31 as Dalton Beer comes down pit road this time by, it appears. He does not. Strategy not paying off here for the 38 machine. Petit, on much younger tires, has already passed him. How about Adam Bozzi? Let's check in on the driver of the 27. Not down pit road just yet. But Dylan Petit, he's much faster. And that 31 machine is pushing. And he will eventually be the race leader by the time Casey Heschel and Adam Bozzi pit. And Bozzi looking slower by the lap here. The best laps for these guys are far, far gone. Coming down to pit road this time by Adam Bozzi is going to almost spin, but he saves it. Drifting down a pit road. And a big save there from Adam Bozzi. Casey Heschel still on his way. And he might just have to come to pit road with the next lap or two. Adam Bozzi down on pit road. Matthew Rodriguez makes it by Dylan Petit as well. And Rodriguez will cycle up into second. Although it looks like 24 lap old tires are struggling already. And Casey Heschel, the final driver on the old breed of tires here, they have to come down. And drivers on average spend a total of 42 seconds on pit road 14 seconds in the last pit stall, rather the pit stop time for Casey Heschel. And we'll see whether or not he's able to get it much quicker this time by. 31 laps to go. And he's still holding on. Dylan Petit is 14 and a half seconds behind him. And Heschel holding on for dear life with his alternate strategy here. It might pay off if he dedicates himself to it. 6 cars in the lead lap thus far. Whenever Casey Heschel pits, that number is going to become much bigger. 30 laps remaining. We've got 111 thus far, and Heschel will be the final driver to conclude this pit cycle, with the exception of Dalton Beer, who appears to be on 66 lap old tires following a pit stop. And not sure why that is the case, although Beer falling through very, very quickly. And Brooks, Kerr, and James McKee all get their lap back that time by. And we'll see whether or not Casey Heschel calls it quits, as Alan Cumming going to come out right beside him. 26 laps down according to timing and scoring here. And Heschel does not quit. He still holds a 12-second advantage with 29 laps to go. Will it be enough? Perhaps it is. And Casey Heschel certainly acting as if it will be, as he has yet to come down. And this could be to his detriment, or it could be to his advantage, depending on how he plays the game here. 28 laps remain. Casey Heschel, still your race leader, and nobody putting together as aggressive a strategy as he has. 69 lap old tires, and he still leads the race. The remainder of the field has pitted. That time by, though, he lost a half a second. Is that enough? Just barely. But Dylan Petit has what it takes. If he wants to push, he could. And track down Casey Heschel. As Heschel, in his own ballpark here, has yet to take one final pit stop. That time by for Casey Heschel was a 26-second flat run, a 26.069. And Dylan Petit with a 25.447. Much quicker. But he's stuck in traffic as well. Makes it that much harder to see who really does have the pace. Watch Roberto Ramirez in third position right now. 20 lap old tires, the driver of the 42, as he claws down Dylan Petit, perhaps to make a charge for the race win himself. And Petit has what it takes when it comes to pace. 25.534 last time by the driver of the 31. Casey Heschel still out there in front. Nothing has happened. Gets passed there by Brad Kress. Gets passed by Dalton Beer. Almost. As it looks like Beer is still not taking a pit stop. 72 lap old tires for Beer and Heschel. And you can see Heschel is managing them almost perfectly. Given their age, what a challenge it must be. Because with 24 laps to go, he's only got a 10.5 second lead over Dylan Petit. Scott Zellner now is not your second place driver. Timing and scoring messed up for just a moment there. But Roberto Ramirez is the fastest man on the racetrack. Although it looks like Scott Zellner might have one last chance. With newer tires in the both of the drivers fighting for the podium placement spots. As Heschel leads us to the 22 lap to go marker. And you know what that means. TrackCams22.com. The best cameras on iRacing, and it is 22 to go. Track Cams for Gormans. We love presenting these cameras, and we hope you enjoy watching them. So we are going to crank it up here with 22 to go. Let's watch live and uninterrupted. And with 18 laps to go, Casey Heschel has not given up. He still leads by 8 seconds now. Scott Zellner looks to be in second. James McKee in third. Roberto Ramirez is in fourth. And Austin Bloom is in fifth. Dylan Petit now mired back in sixth. And this could be the race Kendall Kerr's hoping for if he makes up just a few spots here. But James McKee making up a major amount of spots. Scott Wheeler in ninth now. And he's going to have to claw his way back up. A lot of drivers to get by if he wants to keep his championship lead much, much larger. But now, it looks like it's going to be James McKee chasing down Scott Zellner for second. That could determine the championship race going into tomorrow. Casey Heschel, 17 becomes 16 laps to go. And the Charlotte Hornets number 49 machine doing a great job tonight, and he is still leading this one with an aggressive tire strategy, the likes of which we have never seen before in the Highline Racing League for such a long distance. 80 laps, and he has not quit. 16 to go before this race is over, and it will be a 96 lap stint if he is able to pull it off and get the victory on one of the most aggressive tire strategies we have seen all season long. But Scott Zellner within 5 seconds, and James McKee within 0.3 of a second. Those two could determine the championship. And we'll see whether or not they do. James McKee pushing as hard as he can. We'll see whether or not he has what it takes. 0.3 of a second. Now it is within 3. And it's going to become 0.2 of a second to the pace we are going. And nobody stopping James McKee here. He has the pace. It is truly nighttime here. And the nighttime groove, it looks like James McKee is in. And the SP Designs number 9 machine fighting as hard as ever for that second spot. But watch out, because both of these drivers are chasing and closing in on Casey Heschel as SP Designs number 9 machine is going to go down to the inside line, and James McKee now dead even there for second. Zellner going to be able to hold on, and they're still fast from the leader going side by side. How about that? And still they go. A dozen laps remain. And up to the high side once again. McKee still trying to make it happen. Outside momentum still prevails. And Casey Heschel now has only 3 seconds of breathing room. And he has not given up on his strategy. Scott Wheeler gets by Dylan Petit. That is for 8th. Next man up, Kendall Kerr in 7th as he's able to catch him. Now it looks like James McKee is able to clear Scott Zellner and chase down the victory that could keep this championship race as close as ever. Ramirez getting a very, very squirrely look at the pavement there. Alan Goodman going to pass him. Austin Bloom going to be the next man up. And this could be to the detriment of Scott Wheeler. He's not able to catch Ramirez before Kendall Kerr does. As Adam Bozzi trying to make a move there on Scott Wheeler. And 10 laps to go. 1.7 seconds. The distance. As Scott Wheeler is going to be passed there by Adam Bozzi. Bozzi down to the inside line trying to make it happen here. This could determine the championship race going into next week. And now Wheeler down to 9th. McKee 27 points back. 1 second away from the win. Everything comes down to next week at the rate we're going. Kendall Kerr still gaining some points there on Scott Wheeler at this rate. And Bozzi gaining time on Wheeler. And this is going to put Scott into a precarious position. If this is the way it ends out, it's certainly not going to be the way he wants it. As Chad Winstead tries to go around the high side there on Wheeler. And that 10 machine has a lot of pace, but he's not fighting for any position here. He's still going to go through quite nicely. And that's going to shuffle everything up here as well. 0.3 of a second between McKee and Heschel. Although now it looks like Kenny Brooks giving him a little bit of a hard time. Still going to hold on. And it is going to come down to the final 6 laps. 89 lap tires, 31 lap tires. And they have been racing at their fullest. Time after time. McKee goes down to the inside line this time by. Looks to be able to make it happen. Double file here. And McKee's going to be able to use the inside line. He's going to tap Casey Heschel. And he's going to drift Casey Heschel into the wall. And McKee's going to take the lead. And that throws out the caution. And this race is going to change all over again. And Casey Heschel gets booted into the wall there. He's not going to be happy about that one. The checkered flag laps away. You can already see he's wrecking by this point. Let's send him back 15 seconds. Find out what happened. Goes up high. And McKee trying to make it happen on the inside line here. Desperation. Looks like he breaks just a bit later. And Heschel spinning up the racetrack, not able to keep it together. And it ends up shooting right into the wall. Nothing more he can do. And nothing less he could get when it comes to damage. And Heschel comes down pit road alongside the remainder of the field. This is the big race. Off of pit road entry. It is silent. Let's check the exit. As your new race leader will be decided after this pit stop. Kendall Kerr going to miss his stall. That's going to be very important here. Let's find out how much that impacts him. Roberto Ramirez is going to win it off pit road. Adam Bozzi, then Jason McKee, Scott Sellner, Scott Wheeler, Brooks, Bozzi is going to be already out. Bloom. And then Kendall Kerr, Dylan Petit, Jason Harris, Brad Kress as well. And Roberto Ramirez will be your new race leader heading into the first and only overtime of the night. When we head green, the next flag will end it. And that will be all she wrote for this race. ProtectTheHarvest.com 140. And Ramirez leads over Bozzi with James McKee right in front of championship rival Scott Wheeler. And this puts the championship picture on its head again. Now Wheeler's in a very good spot to make up a lot of positions. And it could be an incident that determines where these championship hunters finish. And it could lock it up for Wheeler. Could make it a much harder race for Wheeler next week. Or he could stay the same that we've stayed all race long. And everything will remain stagnant going into next week. The season finale. 12 races of action, and it might just come down to the final race of the season in Homestead for 120 laps. Way to go. Ramirez, the 42 machine, leading the way. And Josh Herschel saying Charlotte. And I don't believe that Charlotte's going to be our season finale this season, because we already had Charlotte very early into this one, 140 laps, while Homestead will settle the score next week. Herschel saying, love it, thank you for stopping by, greatly appreciate the support, appreciate every single one of you who has been able to stop by and chat. If you're just watching, it means the world as well. Every one of you are the reason we can continue doing this week after week, and we're racing into the new year. Next time by, we go racing after our Christmas break. It will be the one that settles the score. We're going to find out who's going to become a champion in 2 weeks' time. And Roberto Ramirez looking to be the spoiler tonight and get a victory, as Caleb Morris is still in front of the field looking to get his lap back. We are not sure what's going on there, although it looks like he's going to be waved around the pace car shortly. Although no driver in the vicinity of the pace car, and that is because the lap cars will stay in front. And Chad Winstead now going to be able to go at full pace. And Roberto Ramirez going to be able to pull up to the pace car. And it's Ramirez, Ozzy, Scott Wheeler, and James McKee for our one and only overtime attempt. The next flag, after we go green, yellow, or white, will send us to the checkers no matter what. Championship race, its balance is in the hands of every driver here, and it's especially in the hands of one man here, the race leader, Roberto Ramirez. The pace car gonna leave the track one final time, and one last time in Iowa. We are gonna go green. Big restart for Roberto Ramirez. Let's go race it one last time. And this could be the restart that settles the score for Ramirez. Looking for an oval victory this season. So good on road courses. Double foul, Bozzy, Wheeler, James McKee in the mix as well. Terry Brooks in 5th. And the next flag is the one that ends it. Ramirez gonna take us to the white flag. And McKee, Wheeler in the war as well. Big wreck. Wheeler, McKee around. James McKee gets out of it. Scott Wheeler is in the infield grass and he looks to be stuck. He's losing a load of positions. Everyone's around. Big time incident. Ramirez looks to be the only man out of it who's going to escape. And as a result, Roberto Ramirez wins the ProtectTheHarvest.com 140. The championship race is on its head. And Kendall Kerr finishes 4th. Scott Wheeler will limp home to 13th. And a load of drivers are trying to get to him. But it looks like Wheeler, best he can get is 12th. And hardly. Ramirez escapes the chaos. My goodness. And his drivers are still crossing the checkered flag. And Roberto's going to slow down as they get to it. Watching the chaos unfold. He's going to begin burning it down while people are still finishing the race. See the wide shots showing some drivers still on the surface. And what a finish. And we'll have to take a replay of that while we go through our podium procedure here. Certainly these guys up front are going to be shocked about it. Jason Harris comes home 3rd. And he leads the Black Top Racing fleet. Kendall Kerr in 4th. Jason McKee comes home 6th. And Scott Wheeler, I think that's going to put him in a really precarious position going into next week at Homestead. One and only restart. But Roberto Ramirez earned that one. He gets a great restart. And an awesome launch puts him over the hill as your race winner. It looks like the burnout appears to be over for the driver of the 42 machine. And for Roberto Ramirez, well, the celebration on track might just be over. Certainly, a lot more to say for the driver of the 42 machine. He's already in the interview room, so we're going to drag him in as we speak. And Roberto Ramirez still on the racetrack right now, but here, ready for an interview, it appears. So how about that? Getting it done on the ProtectTheHarvest.com 140. That final restart appeared to be golden for you. How was it through that final run, getting the strategy all lined up to get the victory?
Yeah, man, it feels really damn good to win on an oval that isn't Daytona. Man, you know, that last restart is just an absolute, I guess, microcosm of the whole race. You know, qualified, I think, 17th. And, you know, that's never what you want to do. I didn't even practice race runs. I was just so focused on getting a good lap, because track position's important here. And the whole race, we took risks. First caution, you know, 10 laps. Who's going to put on a set of tires? I am. I mean, you never know what you're going to get with these races. And I just, you know, I wasn't the fastest car on a long run. I knew that I had to do something different all night. So the whole night ran off strategy. and I just said, what the heck, 2 laps to go. Put on the right sides. Might not work out, but I'd hate myself if I didn't try it. So, feels really good to be in victory lane again.
And absolutely in victory lane once again. And that final restart set you apart. The risks on strategy. You think the launches would set you free, or was it just a culmination of the events that came behind you as well?
Yeah, I think, Adam probably had the better car at the end, but he kind of wasted his time trying to.
And just making sure that we still have connection. Roberto Ramirez, something cut out on our end. Do you still hear us?
Yeah. What was the last thing you heard?
Something or other about Adam Bozzi wasting his car out. Is there anything more?
Yeah. Oh, no, I hit Adam at Richmond. Really dumb move a few weeks ago, and I think I was going to get payback for that, but he missed. So, I think after that, it was pretty clear that we were just in the driver's seat, and that was so key to get off pit road P1 because you're in control at that point. I went as early as I could in the restart zone, and because I knew that if I that was my absolute only shot to leave the field if I just went as early as I possibly could, because you wait any longer, then people might be able to anticipate it. But I knew I had to get out of there, and it seemed like there's a lot going on behind me, and was able to take advantage of that. So I really think this is, what can I say? I just took advantage of a lot of things that just happened to go my way tonight, and found ourselves in victory lane again.
Absolutely finding yourself back in victory lane. Now, next time by, the final race of the season at Homestead. How do you feel going to that one? And can you perhaps replicate the magic and get yet another victory on the ovals?
I think it's going to be tough. 1.5 milers aren't really my thing, but we'll try our best as we always do. And I just want to say, I feel bad for Casey. I feel like he probably deserved to win the race tonight, but if he couldn't get it done because he's my teammate, glad I was able to get at least one of our cars in victory lane.
Absolutely getting it done nonetheless. Roberto Ramirez able to get it done for Misfit Mafia. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for the broadcast, and see you next week.
That is your race winner of Roberto Ramirez, and we are going to be able to drag him back in just a moment. And before we get to our second place driver in these interviews, we are going to put together a brief announcement. If you did enjoy the race, be sure to like and subscribe. Greatly appreciated. Just want to let you guys know, if you still are watching, if you made it this far, hope you stick to the end, and we thank you all for stopping by. Just be sure to click the like button, subscribe to the channel. Every piece of support, greatly appreciated. Oh, so close to that 600 subscriber mark, and it means the world. Every single one of you stopping by week after week. Now, let's get on to our second interviewee of Adam Bozzi, runner-up here tonight. And how do you feel after that one?
Well, first and foremost, I need to get off my chest last week. Apologies to Dylan Poteet. That was a great move on him last week at Atlanta. He should have won that race, and lack of talent on my part cost him a win there and cost me a top 3 finish there as well. But tonight was interesting, to say the least. Not the Iowa that I remember, but it still made for a lot of fun. And, I can't remember a race where I've been this exhausted at the end of it due to just fighting the car all night.
And certainly fighting the car. We had a very long run throughout the middle and toward the end of this race, which ended up sending us to our one and only overtime finish. And how was it managing the long run and eventually heading into the short run? Were you able to capitalize on the finish?
So the long run, the track kind of turned back to old Iowa for me a little bit. I had taken 2 tires under green just to see if it would help at all. And I kind of felt like I had shot myself in the foot. I wasn't catching the guys. I felt like I had pitted too late, and the car was handling decent, but when I saw KC kind of blow the tire, I knew I had made the right call, and I went ahead and tried to do 2 again, and it almost paid off there at the end, but we'll get one here eventually. So,
and absolutely the restart was of course the determining factor of this race. Roberto Ramirez, winner off pit road, ended up winning the race, but for you, wasn't the case, not getting that victory off pit road, but still using it to the most of it. And we saw an incident on the last lap. Now, we're going to have to take a look at the replay, but how necessarily close to the incident were you in terms of getting involved? Because you saw just about the majority of the field got involved in that one, and that changed the running order entirely.
So I got lucky to see it all happen in my rearview mirror, which paid me dividends. And I kind of knew going down the front stretch that I had a shot at Roberto. I knew I could maybe get underneath him, and if it stuck, I'd be door to door coming off. And I think I just caught the brake a little too hard, and it started sliding out from under me, so I didn't get a chance to get to him. But that wreck was just definitely big in the mirror, so no idea what happened yet. But hopefully, it wasn't anything too crazy.
And hopefully that is the case, but we've only got one more race on the season remaining, and that is Homestead. Everything's going to be decided there, the championship for the drivers and the owners. Of course, we still have one more chance for a race winner. How do you feel going into the final race of the season?
I'm ready to go rip the fence. I've enjoyed it, doing it here in 3 and 4 tonight on the one restart. It felt great, and next week just going right up by that wall and hopefully saving some tire, but just ripping down that wall all night will be so much fun.
And it looks like a similar style for part of this track will make a return next week at Homestead for Adam Bozzi, runner-up here tonight. Any final thoughts?
No, just thank you for throwing up this broadcast. Thank Kendall, Toby, everybody here at HLRL for putting on good racing. And, once again, sorry for last week, and we'll go forward. We'll try to win one next week.
And absolutely thank you once again.
Thank you.
And now we're going to move on to our final driver of the podium procedure, and that is Jason Harris. And it looks like out of all the drivers in the podium here, you were able to make the most of it, moving up several rows and ending up as the third position driver, getting it done. How does it feel after that one?
I feel like Ricky Bobby at the moment. I don't know what to do with my hands. It was insane. It just finally feels good to finish where that I feel that I can. Just felt spectacular to end up where I was. I mean, unfortunately, some other drivers had some bad luck, but came in with that second to the last pit stop and thought I made the wrong call and just had to claw my way back up.
Certainly clawing yourself back up, and strategy played a major factor. The longest run we had and then the shortest, back to back. And how was it managing strategy and eventually putting yourself in position to be able to run up front at the tail end of the restart?
I mean, the car felt really good. Felt like the longer it ran, the better I was able to run, was kind of able to stay somewhat consistent and save my stuff, and just kept looking around me the whole time, just kind of seeing what everybody else was doing, how they were doing, and took 2 tires there that second to the last pit stop, and that kind of helped, and was able to kind of catch some of the guys that pitted in earlier. And then that last one, it was just take 4 and send it.
And absolutely everyone pushed it to the limits there, avoiding the wreck that happened on the white flag. And were you at any risk of getting involved in that one?
For a split second, I saw cars kind of spinning all over the place, and then I looked up and kind of saw teammate Adam kind of leading the way, and I just zeroed in on the rear bumper of his car and just pushed it to the floor, and then had a good little battle there with the 21 there right at the end, and just held my right foot all the way to the floor as far as it could go, and surprised ended up where I did.
Ending up there nonetheless, and we got only one more race on the season, and it's going to be Homestead, so you feel that you're able to put together great results back-to-back and perhaps end up on the podium or even get your first victory of the season there?
I would love it to bring QCR another win for the season. Team definitely deserves it. We've got some talent on the team. Definitely want to introduce everybody to one of the other drivers from the QCR stable.
And absolutely QCR getting another great run here tonight. Jason Harris, podium position here, rounding it out at Iowa. Any final thoughts?
I hope everybody has a good weekend, and see you next week. Thank you for everything that you do. put on a great show.
Thank you as well. Podium position here, Jason Harris. Once again, thank you. And there we have it. That is your podium procedure here. Jason Harris rounds it out, and your top 3 drivers all interviewed. Now let's get on to your race results. See who finished where in this event. 23 cars able to take the green flag. Only a few of them able to make it across the stripe on the lead lap. Major incident, causing a lot of chaos there. That changed up the way this one ended quite a lot. And let's look over it one more time. Get that replay in, because we were trying to look for it beforehand. So let's get a final look over and find out what happened uninterrupted. No tickers, nothing else. And I believe that started up front with James McKee and Scott Wheeler. Now we're going to set it to half speed, make it a little quicker, and try to find what happened. McKee rubbing up with Scott Wheeler for just a moment, coming off of the 4th turn. And it looks like just lost control there. And it begins from there. And we're going to try to find out what happened from the cockpit. My bad. Try to find out what happened there, because it looks like certainly the 9 machine was having a lot of issue controlling that car. Something definitely seemed to have snapped. Let's get a replay inside the cockpit of the 9 machine here. James McKee finished 6th. And he absolutely snapped it. That's for certain. And from that point, it's just about trying to keep it on the track, keeping it pointed straight. And the wreck just gets more severe from there on out. Well, certainly, a driver like Scott Wheeler not going to be happy about that, as he had to limp it down the start-finish line. But Roberto Ramirez not worrying about that at all, as he gets it done. Now let's get to your results page. Won, of course, by Roberto Ramirez, and he qualified 17th, and he might just be our hard charger as a result. How about that? Adam Bozzi, 2nd, qualified 3rd. Jason Harris rounds out your podium. Kendall Kern, 4th, and Garrett Sidnor rounds out the top 5. Jason McKean in 6th, Brad Kress 7th, Austin Bloom in 8th, and Casey Escher in 9th, with Caleb Morrissey rounding out your top 10. Kenny Brooks in 11th, Scott Wheeler 12th, Dalton Beer in 13th, and Colton Gardner in 14th, with Scott Zellner, the first driver, 1 lap down, Terry Brooks, Dylan Petit, and Matthew Rodriguez all 1 to 2 laps down, with Chad Winston and Alan Koeman 14 and 25 laps down, respectively. Other retirees include Andrew Baker, Brandon Wengert, and Jacob Halm 143 laps down, and that concludes an overview of your 23-car field tonight. What a performance put on by every one of them, and a great show before we head into our final race of the season. And we are looking forward to it. Absolutely. Homestead, 120 laps. Let's get on to it. The championship going to be decided there. Blacktop Racing still leading the owner's points here. And Scott Wheeler now in a bind. James McKee gains another load of points. The battle rages on. Next time by, but this will conclude SaveTheHardest.com 140. We hope you all enjoy the presentation here tonight. We hope we will all be back once again next week when we conclude this season and say farewell to our first season with the Next Gens, and what a season it has been. Thank you all for stopping by. Hope to see you once again. This is the Fireball Talks NASCAR live team, and we hope you all have a great night.